Hi guys, welcome back to Goodbye Grains. Today we are going to be making a Thai-inspired noodle dish. Now these are not the noodles you're probably used to. It's not pasta or rice noodles or anything like that. We're actually going to be using spaghetti squash as our noodles. And now I've already roasted and shredded our spaghetti squash, and if you don't know how to do that, you can check out one of my other videos, spaghetti squash with meat sauce. I will link it in the description bar below if you want to see how I do my spaghetti squash. But one of the biggest dishes that I really miss is like pad thai and other Asian noodle dishes. I just really like the type of sauce that it's usually in. I like all of like the fresh herbs and stuff and green onions that you usually put on top. And my husband loves Asian food and noodle dishes and everything like that. So I really wanted to come up with something that is still paleo and that we can still love just as much, but without the grains and the soy and stuff like that. So for the ingredients, we have our spaghetti squash. Now this is only a half of the spaghetti squash that I've roasted and I've obviously shredded. For our meat, we're actually going to be using ground chicken. Now we're only going to use half this package. And then to season the ground chicken, we're going to use a little bit of Chinese five spice. And then I've already minced up some fresh ginger that's been peeled and then some garlic cloves. For our vegetables, we have some shredded carrots and then some broccoli. This is leftover roasted broccoli that I made earlier in the week. I know I mentioned in one of my other videos that I usually make like a big batch of roasted vegetables on the weekend to just keep in the fridge. And this is one of the ways that I use it. We have some fresh cilantro and fresh green onion. This is going to be added at the very end along with a little bit of our slivered almonds for a little bit of crunch. And then for the sauce that we're going to make, I have some almond butter. Now this is not homemade almond butter. I got this at the store because I didn't have any almonds on hand. A little bit of my fresh coconut milk. We're going to use actually a little bit of the coconut oil to cook our chicken and our vegetables in. We have some coconut aminos, a little bit of sesame oil that we're going to add at the very end of cooking. We're going to use some lime juice. And then you don't have to use this, but this is chili garlic sauce. Now this has no sugar in it. Definitely look for ones that don't have sugar, and because otherwise, I know sriracha, I believe is how you say it, that has sugar, and there's a couple other ones that have sugar. So be on the lookout for one that is mostly just chili, garlic, salt. This does have xanthan gum in it and stuff like that. But so if you're trying to stay away from it, just add a couple of pinches of just pure red chili flakes, dried red chili flakes, and you'll get that spice as well. So let's get started. Okay, so we have a wok over medium-high heat with about 1 to 2 tablespoons of coconut oil that is melting. Now if you don't have a wok, you can definitely just use a big skillet. I just like to use the wok. It's a lot easier. You have the really deep sides, which allow you to kind of toss all of the different vegetables and chicken and noodles and stuff like that around without worrying about getting everything all over your stove. So the first thing we're going to add to this is our ginger and garlic. Now we're just going to saute this for about a minute, so you want to make sure that you have your chicken ready to add to the pan. And as with all skillets, especially non-stick ones or woks, you definitely want to make sure you're using a wooden spoon or some type of like plastic spatula that you can use for high heat. You don't want to use any metal on this because this will scrape the surface up. So you just want to cook this really quick, 30 seconds to a minute at the very most. You don't want this to burn. So we're going to add half of our ground chicken. And just break that up and get it sort of well combined with the ginger and garlic that's been cooking on the bottom. Now at this point, you want to add some of your Chinese spice right over the top. Just continue to break the meat up until it's well browned. Now that the chicken is beginning to cook through, you don't need it to be all the way cooked through. There can still be a little bit of raw chicken, because while we cook the vegetables, the chicken will continue to cook, and you definitely don't want the chicken to dry out. So you can add your carrots and broccoli. And just stir that around to get it mixed in with the chicken and spices. You can also add your shredded spaghetti squash. Just kind of break that up a little bit. And you can toss this around as well. Now we're going to continue to let this cook for a few minutes, then we're going to stir it around again and then cook for another few minutes. You don't want to put the lid on because there already is going to be moisture in the spaghetti squash, and you don't want to make the noodle dish really like soupy and liquidy. You want to be able to have that sauce coat all of the spaghetti squash noodles and the meat and vegetables, and kind of cling to it. And if you put the lid on, there's just going to be way too much moisture. So we're going to leave this on the same heat, and while this is cooking, let's make our sauce. Okay, so you can grab a glass bowl or a measuring cup. I usually see that a measuring cup is the easiest thing to use, and a whisk. And so first we are going to add some of our homemade coconut milk. Then we are going to add a couple tablespoons of almond butter. Half of a lime, juice from half of a lime. Some of our coconut aminos. This is going to provide that salty bite that you would normally get from soy sauce. We're actually going to wait to add our sesame oil. We'll add a little bit of our chili garlic paste. Now this depends. You can add anywhere from none at all if you're not a big fan of spice, all the way up to, you know, a full teaspoon or so. Now we're going to use our whisk and just carefully whisk this all together. Really just trying to mix together that almond butter and coconut milk along with all of the seasonings. So once that's mixed all together, you can give it a taste and add a little bit more spice or a little bit more coconut aminos if you want a little bit more salt. Now I will say we haven't added any salt yet to the spaghetti squash, vegetables, and ground chicken yet. So if this tastes a little bit salty, it's not going to be a big deal because it's going to be seasoning a very large portion of noodles and meat and stuff like that. So once this is done, we can set this aside and check on on the stuff that we have in our wok. Okay, so while we made the sauce, our noodle, ground chicken, and vegetable mixture has been cooking away. So we can give this another stir. And now we can add the sauce we just made. You can do one more whisk and just pour it right over the top. Now what I do is just grab another wooden spoon and just kind of almost mix it around the same way you would if you were dressing a salad. Now you can leave this over the heat for another minute or two to just help to heat up that sauce, and then we're ready to serve. So now that the sauce has had a chance to heat through, you can kind of just do one more mix and take a little bit of that sesame oil if you want to use it, and just kind of drizzle it lightly, just a little bit. You only want to maybe use a max of a teaspoon. Drizzle it over the noodles. Do one more mix to get that all well combined, and then you can turn off your heat and grab a plate, and you can just portion yourself out some of your noodles. And then taking that fresh green onions and fresh cilantro, you can just add a little bit over the top. And then I also like that nice crunch, so I usually add just a small handful of the slivered almonds. Now this is really easy. You can just leave the slivered almonds and the green onions and cilantro out at the table, and everybody can add their own toppings. So I hope you've enjoyed this as much as my husband loves it, and I will see you next week. Bye.